65-year-old Jay Rothe enters the police station, all pale, panicked, and breathless. His voice trembles as he reports his friend, 53-year-old Linda Riley, missing. Jay knows something's wrong. Linda would never just vanish, not without her dogs, her phone, her keys, her purse, all still inside her home, untouched. No forced entry, no struggle, just an eerie silence clinging to every room like a ghost. Had she been taken? Was she hiding? Or was she still in that house? Somewhere that everyone just overlooked.
Did you have anything to do with her being gone?
No.
February 27th, 2012, Springfield, Missouri. A neighbor had grown uneasy. She hadn't heard from Linda Riley in over 24 hours, and her calls kept going unanswered. Worried, she decided to check on her. What she found didn't sit right. Linda's front door was unlocked. The house was silent. Linda was nowhere to be found. The neighbor backed out and called the police. Within the hour, officers arrived, and that's when things started getting strange. There was no sign of a break-in. Everything looked normal. Linda's purse and phone were still inside, both just sitting there, untouched. Even the dogs were still there waiting patiently. It was as if she'd never planned on going anywhere at all. Investigators quickly ruled out a casual disappearance. This wasn't someone who had just wandered off. This felt deliberate. A missing and endangered person alert was issued immediately. But there were no leads, no witnesses. It was like she had been swallowed by the house itself. And that's what terrified them most. Because if she never left the house, then did something or someone come inside? Days passed. The case was heading nowhere until a man walked into the police station. A man who claimed to know Linda. His name was Jay Rothe. Jay didn't wait to be asked and requested a voluntary interview. He told officers he was close to Linda, very close. In fact, he was the last known person to see her alive. He said they spent time together 2 days before her disappearance, and around 3:10 a.m., he left her apartment with a bag of garbage to throw out. The way he showed up at the station, panicked and pacing, set off something in the detectives. Was this a concerned friend, or a man trying too hard to look innocent? At first it made sense because the first 24 hours after someone disappears are crucial. Of course a close friend would want to help. Of course he'd be worried. But then Jay started talking, more than he needed to, and the story took a strange turn. He mentioned Linda had been a little stressed out lately. Men had been showing up at her house, he said, and one of them, a guy named Floyd, made her uncomfortable.
They come in the house, he goes like drunk.
So you just know him as he's a black male named Floyd.
I saw him one time, but I don't know what, he came in the house and
You don't know Floyd's last name?
no, not at all.
Jay had only seen him once and didn't know his last name, but he was convinced this man might be behind her disappearance. That concern, though, struck investigators as a little too intense. Something about the way he spoke felt rehearsed. Then, unexpectedly, Jay admitted he and Linda weren't just friends. They had been romantically involved. He described the relationship as complicated. They argued sometimes, he said, but it never turned violent. The confession caught officers off guard. Why bring it up now? The next day, Jay returned to the station with more information, he said. This time, he brought up an ex-boyfriend, someone abusive, a man who, according to Jay, used to pull Linda's hair and leave bruises. Then came another name, Roger. Jay claimed he'd been staying at Linda's house for a week, and that he was wanted by police.
Stayed about a week or so. But the police came to the door and he hid in the bathroom because he was wanted. They said, I don't know his last name or anything else.
Wait, what? Why hadn't he mentioned this before? And once again, no last name. Something wasn't right. The more Jay talked, the less sense it made. It felt less like a memory, and more like a script.
Her ex, he bigger, pulled her hair. She come down to the house one morning after he was sitting on her and tried to shoot her up and missed and threw her in the spot. So, and she always had bruises on her arm when he grabbed her.
In just 2 days, he had handed them 3 suspicious men: Floyd, Roger, and the abusive ex. All untraceable, all convenient. It was clear now, Jay was trying to spin a web wide enough to distract them. But then came the final hit. Jay recalled an accident. One night, he said, Linda thought he hit her in the mouth. He said they were driving and he reached out to stop her from doing something, and somehow, she hit his hand. Or maybe his hand hit her. He wasn't sure anymore. It was all messy and suspicious, whatever he was saying. So police began to dig into him, and that's when they found it. A formal complaint, filed by Linda herself, against Jay. As alt, she said she was afraid of him. Friends and neighbors confirmed it. Linda had told them she didn't feel safe, that Jay could lose his temper, that she was scared he might do something one day. Suddenly, his concerned act didn't seem so innocent. 3 days later, the police called Jay in again, this time for a polygraph test. He agreed without hesitation. But machines don't lie. He was asked 3 questions.
Are you physically responsible for Linda Riley's disappearance from her residence on February 27th, 2012? Did you physically remove Linda Riley from her residence on February 27th, 2012? Did you physically cause the death of Linda Riley on February 27th, 2012?
Jay answered no to each one, and he failed, miserably. The room went cold. Whatever innocence he claimed was starting to crack. Because now, it wasn't just about a missing woman. It was about the man who kept showing up, offering just enough to keep the spotlight off himself. And what came next would take the case from mystery to madness. By now, Jay looked drained and defeated. The detectives saw their moment. One of them leaned in, quietly, and told Jay that crime scene technicians had been inside his home, that they'd found things that didn't look good, things that raised more questions than answers. There was nowhere left to run. So he started talking again, and this time, the story was different. Too detailed to be fiction, too raw to be rehearsed.
We were talking on the couch and stuff. Get along just fine, you know. We were talking about her getting out of there, like I said. And I don't know. Just things happen. Didn't mean to do anything.
He said they had argued that night.
Why are you having people stay over that are hurting you and like that? Or she got mad at me, like I said, she don't talk. I guess scuffled a little bit and stuff. Banged her head. So I took it over to the house.
Something small turned heated.
She was mad at what I thought of her. And she went and just smacked me. I said, you don't need to be doing that and stuff like that. She got to holler at me. And I smacked her and she fell and hit her head.
She just stopped responding. He told officers he didn't know what to do. So he put Linda's body in his vehicle and drove to the last place they had visited together, Aldrich, a remote area. There, he built a fire, and he burned her remains. That was the part he couldn't take back. On March 4th, 2012, exactly 1 week after Linda Riley was reported missing, Jay led investigators to the scene. It was over. Jay was arrested and charged with felonious restraint, kidnapping, and second-degree murder, the latter due to lack of premeditation. The attack hadn't been planned, but the result was irreversible. In 2013, he pleaded guilty. The courtroom was quiet when the sentence was read: life in prison. He was sent to Jefferson City Correctional Center. He stayed there until his death in 2022, passing away quietly. just 3 years before, he would have been eligible for parole. There would be no further appeals. Linda Riley never left her home that night, and the person who knew that all along was the one pretending to help find her.